Hey everybody, this is Rydo and we are back to the Black Mirror. Let's continue. So, as slow as this game has been going, I wouldn't be surprised if somehow they manage in the next 30 minutes or so to still not get to Chapter 2. But what I saw in the walkthrough says that this should be it. Well, in a cutscene. You can see the animation messed up again.
Sir, you're awake at last. We were starting to worry that something might have happened to you.
What happened to you, Sammy? I don't know. All of a sudden, my head started to ache vigorously. I can't remember anything after that. How did I make it to my room?
Base found you lying unconscious in the attic.
Yes, I was going to tidy up there when I saw you lying on the floor. I hurried to get Sir Robert, and then we carried you to your bed so that you could have a rest.
I told you, Samuel, that you should take a rest after such a...
All these people are really old.
Perhaps you were right. I have no idea what happened. I vaguely remember having a strange dream. I cannot figure out what it means.
The important thing is that you're all right.
Terrible writing.
It would be best for you to sleep for a while.
This time, I will follow your advice, Robert.
Good. We shall leave you alone then. If it gets worse, we'll see.
Thank you. Hopefully I will be all right.
Come, Bates. We shall leave Samuel to his rest.
Yes, sir.
Robert is right. I should take a rest.
So, he immediately assumed he did something while he was passed out. And he didn't, he just passed out, which is an odd assumption. It implies he thinks he's at least done this before, where he's felt strange and then wandered around and done things unconsciously. Chapter 2, back to the light. And then he talks about a dream that the game did bother to show us. Which, that's not helpful. Maybe this will be the dream. But then they should have mentioned it if they were going to show the dream now. This is another out-of-engine animation that we saw at the very beginning. Looks pretty good. So, the thing I think that's wrong with this engine is that graphic cards these days usually double buffer or more, or triple or quadruple buffer frames. And so that means sometimes it will make a frame even before you need it. And it seems like this game can't handle that. So it's showing things out of order because the animation's going faster than it was expected to.
They found him dead this morning in the pond. I know what I am saying. I saw his body being dragged out.
How did it happen?
I have no idea. Detective Collier will tell you that. He has been questioning everyone for quite some time now, and he wants to speak to you too. He did not give any of us a chance to recover from the shock. Not even Madam.
Where will I find him?
I'm surprised the police wouldn't come get him directly.
All right, let's go.
Like, if I was the murderer,
Detective Collier.
I could jump out the window and run.
Mr. Gordon, I presume. I need to speak with you. Mr. Gordon, do you know what happened?
Yes, Bates told me everything.
Probably not.
Good. I need to ask you a couple of questions. Shall we begin?
Yes.
So, who got killed?
Henry Stanton yesterday.
Yes, I only arrived yesterday, but I spoke with him during the day.
Oh, you arrived yesterday.
Yes.
I was the one that told him to clean the fountain, I think, and he's
What were
now
you
dead
speaking
in
to
it.
Stanton about?
I don't know exactly. It was a very trivial conversation.
Had you known him from before?
No, I only knew Mr. Dickens, who was Henry's predecessor.
That was before you left the manor.
Yes, about 12 years ago.
Now the
Okay,
game's telling
let's
us a
return
lot
to
of
conversation
useless
about Mr.
information.
Did he seem strange to you? Nervous or disturbed?
No, nothing like that. He behaved normally.
So, you are saying that he seemed normal?
Right.
I spoke to Morris, your groom, before this interview. He told me that Stanton would often have a bit too much to drink.
Yes, I have heard the same.
Madame Victoria has also confirmed it.
What do you make of it?
Well, they found him in the garden pond, tangled up in algae. I don't know yet how he ended up in there, but the most likely explanation is that it was on account of his drunken state. He might have bumped into something, lost his balance, and fallen into the water.
Maybe. But don't you think the water would have awakened him?
No, exactly the opposite. It was water that caused his death. He fainted, fell into the pond, and the cold water did its thing.
Stopped his heart?
He wouldn't be the first drunkard to have drowned like this. What's ironic, however, is that it didn't happen in a lake or a river, but in a little bit of water in the back garden. Oh well, no man can choose his death. If there is nothing you need to ask, I won't be keeping you any longer.
Thank you.
I have all I need for now. Would you please see me out?
I thought he was gonna just stay in the common room for this
I
section.
will now wait for Dr. Herman's report and close this case. Thanks for your time, Gordon.
You're welcome, Detective.
Goodbye.
And we can see it's raining outside, and the fisherman wanted it to rain.
To close the case. Now that Henry is dead, I've got to find a way to obtain the second part of that strange object.
So at least the game is sort of telling us now what to do and what our goal is. That's helpful. Closing the case seems not appropriate. There's been 2 deaths in this area in a relatively short amount of time, and I think you'd want to investigate that a little bit more. There is also something definitely weird about this castle in that there are no children or descendants. You'd think for a legacy of so many people having lived in this castle for hundreds of years, it seems very strange that none of them have children that we've heard of. Of course, this is also kind of set in the UK, so maybe they just send all of their kids to a fancy boarding school, and it's not until adults that they come back to the house. It seems like he's the youngest, though.
Henry's body was tangled up in algae when they found him. How could he possibly have drowned in this then?
Because somebody was holding him down.
It's glittering at the bottom. What could it be? Something is glittering at the bottom. What could it be? I shouldn't have made Henry clean the fountain. How could I have known that something like that would happen?
It's kind of the only thing he's been forceful about in this entire game, too.
The water is murkier than yesterday. The water is murkier than yesterday.
So, it almost seems like guaranteed I need to go get the fishing rod and use the fishing rod to get the key. I imagine the key, we can even do a little confirmation here. I imagine the key unlocks the gardening area, and in the gardening area, now that the gardener is dead, we'll be able to find that sales receipt and return it. And remember, we have that journal and all of that element too. The leaves finally burnt up. So getting into the secret chapel is something more. Also seems like there's things that we've clicked on before that we can click on again.
Watson, the bags are soaked badly. Perhaps Henry forgot to burn the leaves. We will take over his job now that this thing has happened.
And I might as well just click on everything, because if I don't click on them, then there is a decent chance we're going to come back and need to click on it anyways.
Full of rainwater, it will have to be cleaned before it can be used again.
I don't think the main character needs any kind of motivation to feel bad about the man dying, though, so it's kind of pointless that I...
And a tin with brushes lying on it.
Maybe he was a forger.
Only painter stuff, nothing else.
Just look in the bin.
It's full of dry leaves.
Look in the drawer.
It's closed and probably full of whiskey. Henry hid it here so as not to carry it. It's locked.
Well, can I take the box with me and go stick it in the grinder, for example? So there's our locked thing. Is there anything in this drawer worth taking?
Gardening tools and small tubes with fertilizer.
Just says the drawer in general.
Can't see a bill of exchange anywhere. Where could Henry have put it? There is nothing interesting in the drawer.
We'll take the seeds.
Maybe beans.
And there's an incredibly large amount of things that don't matter.
They're empty, ready for planting in. It's full of clean water. I don't want to water anything.
So let's just double check the bin, I guess.
Nothing but leaves.
Double check the painting, and then we're gonna go to the village and see what it takes to get the fishing rod.
The Black Mirror Castle.
And yeah, nothing seems to have changed there. So trying to play as linearly as possible.
Leave now.
I can't leave now. Well, that certainly limits our gameplay choices down to less things. We could check out the main gate while we're here, but I heavily suspect there's nothing there. And a little bit of rain isn't going to let me push a rock over that's that big. Find something under it.
Empty.
So let's go talk to the, well, I'm calling him the stable master, but they're calling him something different, groom. Maybe that is the right term, but I've never heard anybody use it that way. That kind of sounds offensive. If you call the person who grooms the horse as a groom, and the person the male who marries somebody in a wedding, the groom, are you comparing the person that the groom marries to the person who a groom marries is like a horse. And maybe that's really what it comes down to. Maybe it is got some kind of offensive overtones in its old English translation. Or maybe I'm just overanalyzing things. That's highly likely too. So the cart was mostly emptied.
Morris carried the hay sacks away in time before it started to rain.
Well, most of them. And the stump he was chopping wood on is missing. That's interesting. Let's see. There's a switch.
There's enough light in here during the day.
Interesting. The switch turned on the light, but there's kind of no reason for that. And see, if I tell this guy to fix this, I wonder if he gets killed in the next chapter. I wouldn't be surprised. And the wine bottle apparently was a complete and total red herring, because we never got anywhere with that.
Morris,
Half of the things we learned were useless information.
Sure.
Let's ask about Henry.
what do you think about what has happened to Henry?
It was to be expected. He drank way too much. I guess it had to end like this.
It sounds like you really don't care that it happened.
Well, we didn't exactly like each other, but I wish no ill will to anyone.
It was you who found him, right?
Yes, I needed something from the back garden, and as I was walking past, I noticed something floating in the fountain. I went closer to have a look, and he was totally tangled up in the weeds. I could see nothing except his coat.
Did you notice anything else?
No, I panicked, you see. I ran to the castle to get Bates to go have a look with me. I kept thinking I might have been confused and imagined it.
So instead of jumping in there and potentially saving
What
him,
happened next?
I rode into the village to get the detective. You know the rest.
So, Morris found Henry.
let's ask about Morris.
Were you in the stable yesterday?
Sure I was. Where else would I have been?
The lights were not on.
Well, maybe I wasn't. Why are you asking? Oh, I can see where you're coming from. You're thinking that maybe what happened to Henry might not have been an accident and that somebody might have helped him into that pond. I may be a drunkard and a saucebox, sir, but I'm no murderer.
No one is calling you a murderer, Morris. I was just asking.
All right, fair enough, sir. If Madam learns that you are starting to suspect me, I may as well go looking for a new job. There's not much work available in this neighborhood. And besides, who would want to hire a man with one leg that is almost completely lame?
I'm not accusing you of anything, Morris.
He has one leg?
Not yet.
I didn't even see that he had one leg. That another detail thrown in rather late.
Morris,
Probably
have you
pointless.
boarded up the old well like I asked you to yesterday?
Did I ask him to
Yes,
do that?
sir. I'll do it today.
It should have been done yesterday. I'm surprised that Henry didn't fall into it.
Excuse me, sir?
You know well how I meant that. I want to see it secured today, or you can start looking for a new job. Is that clear?
I don't know why he does this.
You need to shout at me, sir.
I have no idea what has gotten into me. Why did I yell at him like that?
Good question.
I will go then.
Like,
All right, sir.
why is he bossing people around at all? He still doesn't even know if he's going to stay. And I mean, you really have to attribute a lot of these actions and personalities to just a sense of entitlement And look, the icon is missing too. And I'm pretty sure I never asked him to board up the well. If I did, it was 4 or 5 hours ago when I did. And this is... what can we do? What can we do? Let's see if we can find baits. See if we can find anything. Let's see. And maybe the idea is that we're going to talk to Victoria and move the story along. I can look at the picture again.
Jeremy Gordon, William's father.
So apparently that was important. And there's... like, we've solved puzzles in this room, so it almost would seem that there would be no reason to go back into this room. Yeah, it is just finished. The game might be doing a decent service to us by making it fairly obvious that we don't need to go back into the library for chapter 2. That eliminates 3 scenes right out off the top of it. And this is a very non-linear action to wander around the entire building again. I was expecting somebody would either try to throw me out the window or start the attic on fire. That would have been a very poetic and correct way to end the first episode, as if a fire started or was started in the attic and it burned down the place, and I saved the journal and I passed out from the fumes, and then we would have been right in the same starting point with a lot more impact and a lot more action. Just because even if this is just based off a story, it needs more action to be shown to us in cutscenes or described at the very least.
What happened to Henry is awful. First William, and now... Henry liked to drink, but other than that, he was a good man.
I'm sorry, Victoria.
I would like to be alone now. Do you need anything, Samuel?
These people seem to be very melancholic, always wanting to be alone and always sad.
Dr. Herman, the physician, does he live in Willow Creek?
No, some time ago he moved into an abandoned house near the old mill. It is quite close on the road to Willow Creek, the only house far and wide.
Yes.
Interesting.
Remember where that is. Thanks.
So now
Please
maybe I
excuse
can go
me.
visit him.
I can't leave now.
And see, if it's going to stop me from leaving, it needs to tell me the reason why I can't leave now. Because right now it doesn't fully make sense. And I imagine Robert and Bates are the last 2 people to talk to.
Today's newspaper. I don't want to read it.
And are we ever going to get in Victoria's room?
Victoria is at the fireplace in the hall.
Does she never go in her room? Robert's always in his study. Victoria's never in her room.
I need a word
This
with
is
you, Robert.
such a terrible mechanic
Yes,
to have conversations.
I am quite busy at the moment.
I won't keep
Open
you
the
long.
door, talk to him, shut the
Yes,
door.
I'm listening.
Did you speak with Collier?
Yes, he detained me for over half an hour with those questions of his.
So, what do you think about all of this?
Me? Collier's theory seems logical to me. I do not believe anyone would want to kill Henry. Henry drank himself to senselessness many times before, but this time he was unlucky enough to fall into the pond. Cold water certainly had something to do with the body's condition. Being a physician, I can certainly attest to that.
You're probably right.
Is there anything else you want to talk about? I have a lot of work to do today.
Let's ask about Victoria and job.
Victoria is not willing to talk to me right now. Maybe you should talk to her instead.
You need to consider her age, Samuel. She just needs some time for herself. I'll talk to her in the evening.
So we have this evening time spot that tells us we're going to have to move things forward.
You have mentioned often since I arrived that you have a lot of work. So, what are you working on?
Oh, I would rather not bother you with the details. Let's just say I am carrying out specific research. Perhaps I will tell you more about it tomorrow, when I have some time.
So now we have tonight and tomorrow.
This evening to check on some results.
Oh, all right. I must go now.
Right then. I'll return to my work.
This is really one of those games where it feels like it must be a lot better in its original language. Because it's not good as it is. And unless you look in this drawer and can look at the family photos, which I can't. We'll look in this drawer. I can't do anything here. Fireplace. I did tell the butler to start a fire, so it wouldn't. If he burns to death, the single connecting factor would then be every time I tell a servant to do something for me, they end up ironically killed. Of course, William died before I even arrived, so it doesn't make a lot of sense that I would be the killer unless there was a time travel element, which I kind of wondered still. Like, there's a moving forward in time element, certainly, but there's also I believe at some point we've got to get in the past. Or the game is just going to very oddly always reference the past, and it's going to play such a small part. If you were going to reference the past as much as this story has so far, you could...
has collapsed under its own weight. The old wing won't last much longer. Luckily, no one was here when it happened.
You could potentially have a whole second section of flashbacks where you play a different character in the past, and then you would reveal something in, and then you go back to the present.
It could collapse at any minute.
If the story is going to revolve around the past that much in a video game, you should probably do flashbacks. And you could hide something in the past, and then in the future the character would look in that area and find it. Say, put something in a vase, for example.
Open the window lets cold wind and rain enter the room. If it rains like this tomorrow too, we'll have to patch the window.
What, you can just let water sit on wood floors? Man. If you have wood floors, by the way, and you have water on it for more than, I'd say, even 30 minutes, the wood is going to warp, and it's going to be ruined, and you're going to have to tear it all up and redo it. I wouldn't leave water sitting on floors even 30 minutes. I would immediately, as soon as found, dry it up. And I certainly wouldn't just leave a window open. Let's go to the dining room. So you kind of wonder why this castle's falling apart. It's clearly nobody knows how to maintain something. There's no new candy apparently. And we can go to the cellar now. So that's interesting. So then I suppose it might have been possible to enter this area right after the investigation, and in the cellar we can find some more information out and move the story along. It could be Bates is the killer. That certainly would make sense. Like, he has been acting sort of weird, but he is also sort of old. But everybody's old, so there's really nothing stopping any of them from being the killer at all. Well, that's it for this recording. We at least were successful into getting into chapter 2. I thought very possibly we wouldn't have even made it this far. As always, I ask you to like, share, subscribe, comment, and watch every second of my videos. If you want to friend or follow me on basically any social media sites, there's a whole bunch of links down below. Thank you for watching. Have a good evening.